Happy Friday! Welcome back to Drinking by My Shelf. My name is Emma and today I'm going to be doing a tag video that I had so much fun doing last year, and that is the mid-year book freakout tag. This was a tag created by Chammy over at Read Like Wildfire, and it's basically an excuse for you to just freak out and get really excited about all of the books that you've loved so far this year. I always love watching other people's versions of this tag because you get some great book recommendations, hearing everyone's favourites so far. So hopefully you will enjoy some of the books I'm going to talk about today. So the first question is, what is the best book you've read so far in 2017? And that one, without a doubt, has to go to The Hate You Give by Angie. This book was so powerful and it's about such an important topic. It's really one of those books I just think everyone should read. It made me cry, it made me think harder about certain issues. It's definitely one that I want to reread. I think this book is going to make changes and I'm really, really excited that it exists. The second question is, what's the best sequel that you've read so far in 2017? And that's a bit harder for me because I don't often read series and I don't think I've read any this year. So I haven't read any sequels technically, but the book I'm going to count for this is The Child by Fiona Barton. So this is her second novel and it's got some of the same characters from the first novel, The Widow. It's not a sequel, it doesn't follow the same story, but it does take place in the same universe and after the events of the first one. So I'm going to say that basically counts, and this one was fantastic. I really liked both of Fiona Barton's books. They're crime thrillers, but written at least partly from the point of view of a journalist, which is a slightly different angle we don't usually get, and I really enjoyed them. Question number 3 is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? And for that one, I've got to say I Hate Everyone But You by Gabby Dunn and Alison Raskin, who are two of my favourite YouTubers. I think they're so funny. I always laugh so hard at their videos while they actually are talking about real important issues as well, which is great. And they have written a YA novel about two best friends, and I also love their friendship, so I'm excited to see their interpretation of that on paper. I just could not be more excited for this book. Question 4 is, what was your biggest disappointment? And for that one, I think I'm going to pick Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. And it's not because it was a bad book. I've read books I enjoyed far less this year. Sometimes I Lie was quite a good book. It was entertaining, it was page-turning. But it had been hyped up for me so much that I thought it was just going to blow me away, and it didn't. And I'm not sure why, because it was really interesting, it's got a really good twist. Every time I think back on it, it's got all the elements that I love in a thriller, and yet somehow for me they just didn't quite come together. So I finished the book a little bit confused rather than totally blown away. So for me, I'd say that was the biggest disappointment I've had so far this year. Question number 5 is, what was your biggest surprise? And that one has got to be The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I had this one sitting on my TBR for quite some time. I was gently looking forward to it because I've enjoyed Taylor Jenkins Reid's books in the past, but from reading the synopsis I thought it would be a fun, kind of light beach read. It wouldn't change my life and it wouldn't be the most exciting book that I would read this year. But actually, I'm going to put it up there with one of the best books I've read this year. It was just not what I expected. It's about a journalist writing the life of this Hollywood movie star, her long career and the 7 famous marriages that she had. But in telling this story, so many issues come up. It's about sexism in Hollywood, it's about domestic abuse, it's about the way the media treats women, it's about sexuality, it's about racism. It had me properly crying at the end. I was so in love with all of these characters and so attached to them that I had a lump in my throat even for hours after I'd finished reading the book. I really just can't recommend it enough. Even if from the premise you think that doesn't sound like your kind of thing, it's so much deeper than you think it's going to be. But then it also has the lightness that makes it perfect for a summer beach read. It's really quite incredible how it manages to do both. Question number 6 is, who was your favourite new author? And it does say in the question that this can mean either a debut author or just new to you, you've never read them before. Mine actually fills both because the author I want to talk about is Emily M. Danforth. I loved this book, The Miseducation of Cameron Post, which is about a young lesbian growing up in a very religious, conservative town, and halfway through the book is sent to a conversion camp. So the second half of the book is all about her experiences there. I really enjoyed the story, but the reason particularly I've picked Emily M. Danforth for my favourite new author is that the writing was just exquisite. For the first half of the book, not that much actually happens, and yet I was completely hooked turning the pages because I just wanted to keep reading her beautiful writing. It really was that special. I want to get an audiobook because I just want to hear somebody saying these words to me. It's so rich and descriptive and just really beautiful. And I did a whole video about it because Emma Tobias and I read it for our Girl Sex 101 book club, so I'll link to that video up there wherever it goes on the screen. And I just really recommend this one, and I'm going to be looking out for anything else that Emily M. Danforth writes. Question number 7 is, who's your new fictional crush? and I'm going to return to the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo for this question because Celia St. James in this book I had such a crush on. You can just picture her being drop dead gorgeous, so I definitely had a bit of a crush on her while I was reading. And question 8 is who's your new favourite character? And for that one, I'm going to go back to a book that I read all the way at the beginning of the year, which was History is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. And in that book, my favourite actually wasn't either of the main 2 characters, it was Wade, who's the 3rd friend in their original friend trio. But I just thought he was the loveliest character. He's such a supportive friend. And he reminded me actually, when I read Adam Silvera's last book, More Happy Than Not, I fell completely in love with Genevieve for the same reasons. Adam Silvera is really good at writing these wonderful friends that I just want them to be my best friend, and that's how I felt about Wade. Just thought he was gorgeous and lovely. For question number 9, which is what's a book that made you cry? Well, I've already mentioned 2 of them, but I'm going to have to give it to the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, just because it had me sobbing, as I mentioned. And then question 10 is what's a book that made you happy? So for that one I'm going to go for When Dimple Met Rishi. This is a YA about 2 teenagers whose parents want them to go into an arranged marriage, and they meet at this tech summer course and have a romance, and it really just made me smile from start to finish. Dimple is a fantastic character. She's exactly the type of girl I really want to see in more YA, and I really liked Rishi as a love interest as well. And their whole story was just so happy making. Honestly, if you're looking for something to just make you float on air, it's a wonderful book to read. Question 11 is what's the most beautiful book you've got so far this year? And that one easily is The Night the Lights Went Out by Karen White. I just look at this cover. I love the colour scheme, I love what she's wearing on it. This I would just have as a picture on my wall. I think it's beautiful. I just realised I've been numbering all these questions wrong and I skipped one out that was right at the beginning. I think it was supposed to be question 3. So I'm going to do it now, and that was what's a new release that you haven't read yet but want to? So for that one I've got Here We Are, Feminism for the Real World. And it's just laughable that I still haven't read this. I read the first half as a digital galley last year and just thought it was incredible. I deliberately stopped reading it even though I had it for free because I just really wanted to make the most of it and wait until I could have it in full colour and read it properly, because it was just these truly wonderful essays about feminism that I was just so excited to be reading. So I bought this the second it came out in physical copy, and then it's just been sitting on my shelf and I still haven't read it, and I think because I'm just waiting because I'm so excited. But there's no excuse, so I need to read this one soon because I already know that it's lovely. Okay, so now back to whatever question number we're on now, which is what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And I've got loads of these. I mean, my book gel isn't working. I wanted to just read my way through my TBR, but it just keeps growing. There's certain books that I've been sent by publishers that are coming out this year, so those I will always try and read first. But if we're just looking at my own books, then I'm going to pick for that one House of Leaves. And the reason for this is you may have seen my very short-lived challenge that I set myself, the Get a Hold of Your Shelf challenge, where every month for like the 2 months it lasted, I picked a category out of a hat and then I had to read a book from my TBR of that category. But when I got to longest book on your TBR and ended up with this, which is something like 700 pages, I got scared of it and I had uni work to do and I just didn't even start. But I'm actually really excited about this one because I keep hearing such great things. So this is one I'm definitely going to say I would like to read before the end of this year. And then the final question is who has been your favourite member of the Booktube community? And for that I'm going to say Emma Tobias. Emma and I have been doing a book club this year, which you can see our videos for. As I mentioned earlier, it's the Girl Sex 101 book club. And we've been reading books together and chatting over Voxer and really just having such a great time and getting to know each other as well as getting to know the books. And I just think she's so amazing. I really recommend you go and check out her videos. They're very different from what you see on the rest of Booktube, and I really like that. She's not afraid to express herself in the way that she wants to. So I just absolutely adore her really, so I'm going to say she's been my favourite member of the community. So that was it. That was my mid-year book freakout tag video. I would love to know your guys' answers to these questions, especially if you could let me know the books that have been making you happy this year. Because I've been reading so many thrillers, which I've been really enjoying, but they've all just made me really scared. So I'm looking for happy book recommendations. And of course, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and hit that subscribe button for new videos every Friday. See you next time!